All right, so let's start with the big story that we are tracking on WION at this hour. Now, Zelensky is holding a telephonic conversation with US President Donald Trump. The details of this phone call between Volodymyr Zelensky and Donald Trump are yet to emerge. Now, all this comes after the 90-minute long call on Tuesday between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin, where the American president pushed for a 30-day long ceasefire in Ukraine without preconditions. Now, Putin shrugged off the proposal and has set his own terms, a temporary halt on the attacks against Ukraine's energy grid and nothing more. So the question is obviously this: is this even a truce? Or is this some kind of a tactical pause that's been agreed upon? Take a look.
Ukraine is under fresh attack. Russian bombs, missiles and drones are targeting several Ukrainian cities. This is the moment when a missile struck Sumy. Ukraine says 7 Russian strikes targeted a medical facility in Sumy. Images show over 100 patients being evacuated from a hospital in the Ukrainian city. Explosions lit up the sky over Kyiv as raid sirens were heard across the Ukrainian capital. With no let-up in the Russian attacks, anxious Ukrainians on the streets say Russia can't be trusted.
We have already had incidents with ceasefires with Russia that were not actually ceasefires, so we have no reason to believe their words.
I believe that Putin cannot be trusted at all, because Russia has repeatedly shown that it does not adhere to any agreements.
Ukraine is also continuing its strikes on Russian territory. In the latest attack, Ukrainian drones struck a Russian oil depot in Krasnodar region. The much-anticipated phone call between US President Trump and his Russian counterpart did not secure the ceasefire that Ukraine had endorsed last week. All it yielded was a Russian promise to halt attacks on Ukrainian energy infrastructure for 30 days. Putin's demands are steep and strategic. He has called for Ukraine to cease all military mobilization and reject foreign military aid. Ukraine and Europe fear fulfilling these conditions will effectively weaken Kyiv's defensive capabilities and make it vulnerable to further aggression. Europe is on edge. From Berlin to Paris, leaders are anxious but welcome this partial truce.
The first steps are being put in place, but the objective must remain the same: a ceasefire which is measurable and verifiable, fully respected.
We are in full agreement that the goal of all efforts must be a just and lasting peace for Ukraine. The announced ceasefire for attacks on the energy infrastructure can be an important first step on the way.
As the world watches, the fragility of this limited truce underscores the complexities of the Ukraine conflict. The path to lasting peace requires more than tentative agreements. It calls for a genuine commitment from all stakeholders to end this 3-year-long brutal war. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
And we earlier spoke to guests from Kiev and Moscow. Listen to what they are saying.
Nothing new. There are always accusations of Ukraine violating ceasefire, and we've been through this experience from 2014 to 22, where Russia denied even its involvement at all in the war, and now they are talking about American-Russian agreements. It actually means that there is a bilateral agreement without a consent from Ukraine. And Ukrainian initiative about maritime and air ceasefire was actually rejected. And now what we see what actually was going to happen.
This partial ceasefire, which isn't in effect yet, that's why both sides launched major drone attacks on the other last night. They're just trying to get as much done before the ceasefire comes into effect, and that will presumably happen after meetings in Saudi Arabia on Sunday. Russia has said explicitly from the beginning that they don't consider a full ceasefire at this point in their interests, and they want more of that end game decided upon and settled before they'll stop advancing.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.